We all criticize others like that, the dress, their appearance. And so maybe you won't go there. It's the same with any business. We look at a business. They may have a standard. It doesn't mean it's a global standard. It doesn't mean that how they do business is the way you want them to do business, right? You want to find a standard that has some chops, has some substance, is resilient. That's what you're looking for in a standard. And what we're doing here today is about several different standards that are global in reach, they're trusted, that when people hear about these standards, other companies, they know what that means. And because they know what that means, you overcome trying to explain what your company is about. Okay? It helps that situation out. So, as a non-logistics person, as a non-supply chain person, what do I look for? I like to meet the person I'm dealing with. I like to hear about the company. I like to ask those hard questions about that company. How do you do business? Can you give me any new recommendations or references about how you do business? We do now a compliance, we do a background check. We do a due diligence. It is very, very long. It looks like, I think nowadays, maybe about 15 pages. Who are you? How do you do business? Do you have references? Are you the shareholders, government officials? The list is quite long. The reason for that is it gives us an assessment for how that business is constructed, whether we want to do business with them. But beyond that, we need to know about the standards that business is actually, or the business complies with in order to do the best job possible in the business. So we always ask the same types of questions. Now, in the global standards world, and there's lots of them. We know that. There's CAPA standards, there's CTPAT, there's different requirements, there's ISO standards, there's lots of different standards. But the value of every standard is that it sets a framework, and that if you abide by the standard itself, it means something to the prospective buyer of services. So when I reach out to your company, I ask you something, you say, we're ISO this, we're CTPAT this, we're this and that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good. That's on my mental checklist of things that are important. But if a company says, well, we adhere to our own standards of behavior and performance, and these are our recommendations, I'll say, well, that's good. What else can you tell me about your company? When all your competition has this, and you have this, no matter how competent your company is, no matter how competent, no matter how professional, it's like buying, in American phrase, taking a poke, which means you have no idea what you're buying over here, because there's no adherence to the standard. So standards are very important in the world I come from. We like to look at risk in a proactive way. We hate surprises. We hate to hear later, oh, well, this became, and I would say to you, if I'm approached by a company and says, oh, sorry, this has happened, and it caused a problem in production, or it's stopped, or it's stalled, or whatever, you can't deliver it, I would say, oh, why is that? Why is that? We hate surprises. And so when you adhere to a global standard, it should remove, not all, it should remove most surprises from the equation, a proactive approach. It also means that when you're out there fishing for new clients, new companies all over the world, they know what you stand for. They know exactly who you are. You're CAPA certified. You're ISO this or that. You meet the standards. You work with other companies that you can give as recommendations or references. These are all things very important to make a quick decision, because nowadays, in lots of different businesses, if I have went out, I'm looking for someone to actually fulfill a contract, you may get 15 or 20 vendors, sometimes that many in certain parts of the world, especially in India, asking to be considered as a candidate for vital services. How do I distinguish you from you, or you? How do I do that? And again, I don't do it by looking at your website. I may do it by reputation, right? I may do it by talking to my competitors about what your experience, right? And then I also I would ask you about the standards that you comply with. What are the international standards? I'd like to interview and talk to the person that's going to fulfill the contract. The reality of the situation is, if I'm based in Bangkok, if the subcontractor is in Buenos Aires, it's a bit difficult to do. So you could have the conference call, you could have the conversation, but it's not quite the same thing. Again, that's where the standard comes in. I can ask about the standards. I can ask about how long you've been in business. I can ask about how do you do any business in India? So you can ask lots and lots of different questions in order to get an assessment as who that person or that company is, their profile. Because I want to have confidence in a company that provides services. And that confidence can be very difficult sometimes, because the confidence is sometimes a gut feeling about a person, a company, but also is based on what they can show or provide to me. Now, over the years, I've interviewed and talked to lots of different companies about providing services. And, so I know BS when I hear it. And so when I hear BS, there'll be situations where I will ask more questions about the company. So I need to understand their thinking process too. So, as you think about the presentation that you hear today, I only have 2 words. I mentioned them now 3 or 4 times. One is trust. How do you develop a trust situation with other companies? And in our field, it's how do you get the sub-question is how do you reduce risk in the supply chain? How do you do that? What is your approach? How do you reduce the risk? And how do you address other issues that relate to risk also? Okay. And then the other thing is confidence. I want to have confidence when I pick up the phone and call you that I know you, and we work together, and we've been very successful, and we have the kind of communication that engenders a long-term relationship where I feel like I don't have to ask you every question every day, but when something comes up, I have confidence in your ability to handle that. And that's based on a standard. When I say to you, what about this situation? You go, well, according to the campus standard, hypothetically utilized, you would say, well, this is how we approach it, this is how we took care of the issue, this is how we minimize risk. Even though we had a problem, it always occur, we're going to minimize that next time so it won't be an issue again. That's the kind of thing I like. I like a trust and confidence relationship. Because at the end of the day, it does boil down to the relationship, doesn't it? It does boil down to you two knowing each other and you two trying to work together to both make money and be successful and provide services. And when you first get that started, it's got to be done with a certain level of expectation based on a standard. That standard cuts through all that so that initially you don't have to think so much about how best to approach risk in the supply chain. So, if you have any questions about the pharmaceutical business and supply chain later, when we're out at RT, please ask. I can explain how complex that is. It isn't as complex as e-commerce, I tell you, but it's very complex. But yeah, let's chat a little bit about supply chain and some of the things we see later on.